Mahboba Rawi, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Why were you trying to escape? Why did you have to escape Afghanistan?
Well, when Russia invaded Afghanistan, I was a young girl and I was attending a school with 3,000 girls. And the government put so many girls in prison and nobody heard from them. And the leaders we have at school, she's gone. So someone told me to continue her work. All you need to do is jump from the window, ring the bell before the time that school is coming off. So I said, well, if this is what it takes for us to start the protest, I will jump and I'll ring the bell. By ringing the bell, and bring everybody out, and we went to the street and we all say Russia out, and we don't want you. And then one day the police come and surround our house and ask my father for me, and my dad said that I had a daughter named Mahboba, but she died. So they hide me, and then I forced to leave my country alone with no family, none of my brother and sister at the age of 13. It was a punishment for me to be a leader of 3,000 girls and be up in front and ring this bell. It's a lot happened to so many younger generation on that particular time.
It's a part of history we don't seem to remember enough or even know too much about. How did you find your way? You managed to make it over the mountains to Pakistan, an extraordinary journey.
My dad sent me together with 40 other family. So many Afghan was walking from Afghanistan to Pakistan. They can't go through Khyber Pass, but they have to go through mountains. And it was the most difficult walk, in my life. And so many people couldn't make it. You run out of water, you run out of food, and you have to keep walking.
And people dying on the trail.
Yeah, they do. We witnessed so many people couldn't make it, but we have to move on. And I was a young girl without any member of your family and not knowing your future.
There must have been something that was driving you on.
It's just that desire of wanting foreigners to go out. And each one of Afghan men, women, children, they become freedom fighter. I think there is something in our blood.
A lot of, as you say, a lot of those who left, who fled the Soviets, turned around, armed up and went back in again, joined the Mujahideen, fought the Soviets. Your path took you in a different direction. You wound up in Australia. How did you get to Australia? What was the arrangement?
After 2 years being in Pakistan, I came to India. From India, I got married and I came to Australia. And I clearly remember the day that I was in Australia soil. That was the best day of my life. I will call it the country who gave me hope, who gave me future, who gave me safety and security. And I falling in love with the people, the community, the way of life. And I just falling in love with the freedom that women have. And I remember that one time because Afghanistan got river, we don't have ocean. Somebody said to me, Mahboba, you want to go to see the ocean? And I said, yeah, okay. And I saw women and I said, oh my God, they all naked. And I closed my eyes and then I put my hand out and I said, oh my God, they swim like a fish. And the freedom of the women drive cars and I didn't know English, but I used body language talking with everybody. When I was catching a train or bus, I was very brave little girls when I came to Australia.
Australia has given you a great deal, but it also took something incredibly precious away from you.
It's so sad that when I come to Australia, I really enjoy life and I thought my nightmare is over because I'm in a safe country. But that changed so much. In 1992, I lost my first son, a tiny, beautifully little boy with black eyes, very smart little boy. He went to Kayama Bulu Hall with altogether 7 people for a picnic, and it was month of July, and the weather was horrible, and they don't know how to swim, so they went for taking one photo, and the wave come and washed them all out. 7 people all together, and my son was included there. It was the first time that I let my son to go away without me. And we never been separated for 6.5 years of his life.
This little segment is called The Year That Made Me. And what strikes me is that when we asked you what the year was that made you, you named that year that you lost your son.
I always say that losing my son is the best thing in my life and the worst thing in my life. You can't describe the pain. It's like you wounded forever. But the best thing is that I took that string and pain and sorrow and make it a string for me to save other children from dying from hunger, diseases, starvation. I just promised to myself that I am going to save the children and dedicate my life for it. And that's why I established my organization called Mahboba's Promise. And that's my promise to give all my life to save children.
Having lost your son, you sought to save other children. Your work in Afghanistan is chiefly to do, well, began with kids who were orphaned by the war.
Yeah, in Afghanistan there is millions of children as orphans, and they lost their mom and dad, and usually they haven't got any government assistance, or not many members of their family can afford, so they're living below poverty. So what I do, I travel to Afghanistan once a year and pick them up from the street, like they're selling water, selling chewing gum, selling plastic bag, and then I talk with them in my language, and I take them to hope houses. So I got about five hope houses, and I focus a lot, heaps on education. So
what difference does that make to the lives of those children?
Children have their safety and security with me, no longer working on the street. And you give them life, you give them future, you give them hope. I'm in a position to give something back to the country and to make them a good leaders. Afghanistan is lacking leaders, so we want to create good leaders for future and not only give positive input to the children, but for the world.
Where do you get the money from to do all this work?
Finding money is very, very challenging. When I started this work, I didn't know how to run a charity, but I am so grateful of so many Aussies put their hand together with me, and people from every walk of life. Like I let the door open for everybody. So I worked for 10 years in my garage, and slowly I learned how to establish charity, management committee. Now I got tax deductible government funding. So I grow. It's 22 years. I have to put it this way. I work day and night. And my aim is for the children to be peaceful children in the future.
Is it unusual or difficult to be a woman in Afghanistan running charities?
Because it's a quite man-dominated country, you have to be a super strong woman for them to listen to you. And sometimes I do face difficulty, but one thing I never did, which I will never scare of man. And I keep going and I respect them. I am not against the guy and the man in my country. I know they're beautiful people and they've been through so much, they fight, but they don't have to dominate me.
What do you think is the future of Afghanistan?
The future of Afghanistan in the hand of leaders of the world. Future of Afghanistan is not in the Afghanistan people hand. Definitely not in the hand of ordinary people. The voting system is always crap. I think the governments fail to make their commitment, and every year I go, it goes from worse to worse.
You have a son, Naveed, who has grown to adulthood. You must be immensely proud of him.
After I lost a son, I prayed to God for so many years that I want my son back. And after 3 years of losing my son, now he'd come to this world. But from the moment that he came, I always thought, this is my son, God give me my son back. But until he was 9 years old, and he said to me, Mom, I am not Arash, I am Naveed. And I want you to love me because of me. And then after that, from the childhood until now is a son that I was dreamed to have a son like this. He's not only a good son for the mother, but he's very good for the community. He became a role model for so many young people. And of course, as a mother, I'm proud, and I'm hoping everybody in Afghanistan could have opportunity like my own son. But of course, children over there is lacking all the opportunity.
There's no doubt about that. So wonderful to talk to you, Mahboba Rawi. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Fabulous.